What's going on, YouTube? Chris here. Want to bring you all an update today of XRP, Bitcoin Cash, and Ethereum, and that's the order that we're going to be going in today. I want to pay attention to these three. There's a lot of good things really going on and some key resistance levels that are being tested. So if you get something from these videos, guys, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, and we're going to dig into this. So first of all, let's start with XRP. And what I wanted to point out today with the XRP and really stepping back and taking a look at this, as we've seen, XRP here has went through an entire market cycle. And what's nice is it shook itself out, and it took about 2 years. But as you can see, our bottom price here from the overall bear market that we are in, we got to about 17, 18 cents is the area that we are at. And what you're noticing now is that XRP is still a little bit behind the crowd. And you'll notice that with like Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash has already tested what's equivalent to around 50 cents up here for XRP. So XRP is a little bit behind the game now. And in my opinion, that's a good thing because it gives you more of an opportunity when you're looking at a coin like this and you're seeing this uptrend that's starting. It's still earlier in the uptrend than many of the other cryptocurrencies, and I do believe use case wise, guys, there's a lot happening for this, and I do believe at some point we're going to get back up here and test this 50 cents. It may take another month from now or so, but we are steadily climbing, and I do believe we're going to get to those levels. So the main areas that I'm looking at for us, and I'm going to zoom into all this, but I just wanted to point out how low we actually are in this overall market cycle that we've had. And you've seen when we had a golden cross back here, what happened last time. That was a really big deal, and since then we only had one quick golden cross that came up here, and then we dumped hard, and that's when Bitcoin had a big dump as well, and XRP is going to follow that. And now we potentially have this golden cross right here, and I do believe that could send us or give us enough strength to start getting up to that 50 cent territory, and that's definitely what we need to do. But as we're looking at this for XRP, we are now trying to find support off this 20 EMA, and this is in purple. As you can see there, we have a lot of wicks down here, so the bulls are stepping in. They are buying this area for us, and what we need to do is get up above, we'll call it 33 cents now, and that's this high that we previously had before we put in a bearish engulfing candle. So this was the cool-off that we needed in this market, in my opinion. Markets are like humans. They need to breathe. Whenever you have a really strong, nice pump like we had here, you're always going to get that cooling off factor, and that's why you never want to FOMO in this market. Are there times we're going to go straight up and down? Absolutely. But if you're patient and you wait, you can get it at a much better level. And I know some of people out there were talking about, just from the analysis we've been doing on here, you weren't buying up around this 34 cents and you were actually getting it around that 28 cents and you were patient. And now what we're looking for is that higher low right here with a potential tweezer bottom that we are having and a bullish engulfing candle if we could close there. Remember this on the 1 day time frame, but if we could close this candle, this would be a really strong candle, and we'd want to see continuation to come back up here and challenge this 34 cents. If we break up above 34, we want to come back and find support off that. Then the next area would be 40, and then up to around that 48, 50 cents as we'll call it. I was going off the real bodies up here, so about 48 cents. But what I like is we're up above all these moving averages, our 20, our 40, our 50, and our 200, and we have the potential of that golden cross. And XRP moves really fast, so it's one of those things you kind of need to be in a position once we get going in that uptrend so that you can be a part of these pumps, because they're extremely hard to catch. They happen real fast. You see how we consolidated for almost 2 weeks, and then we went from 19 cents all the way up to about 23 cents very fast in a matter of 1 day, and that's just how this market moves. It likes to move extremely fast to the upside as well as the downside. But you know, guys, a lot of the times in this space, it takes a while to shake things out. Like you can see here, these lower highs and lower lows. It was almost 6 months we were in a downtrend, and now in the matter of, we'll call it about 2.5 months or so, we've gotten back almost half of that. So sometimes it can grind slow, and then other times it can just take off. So that's where you just have to be careful in this space. Now in terms of the RSI for XRP, I wanted to take a look at that for us and just kind of see where we're at. XRP, we're at 60 for our RSI, which that's a good area there, and you can see we've been setting some higher lows. What we need to do is come back up here and try to test some of these higher areas, but we have at least, I'd say, 20 more points on the RSI. I like to play 80 and 20 as overbought and oversold in the cryptocurrency space, just because of how fast things move and how aggressive they can get to the upside and the downside. I think that's a safer bet than the 70 and 30. So in my opinion, we still have a lot of room to run to the upside and start challenging up here around that 34 cents if we do continue this and we can hold this higher low. To the downside, what we'd want to see is the higher low held. If that does not hold, then we're going to look down to that 200-day moving average. We broke up through it with strong strong volume. We want to stay up above it. We don't want to start dropping back below it. So that's XRP, guys. You like me covering that, smash that like button. We're going to move on to Bitcoin Cash next. And these are just some of the tickers, some of the things I'm looking at. Like I said, I like to trade the stock market as well. I think you can learn a lot from both stock market and cryptocurrency and just, going back and forth. They're different, but there's so many similarities as well. So in terms of Bitcoin Cash, let me find it here, guys. Just give me a second. There it is. We're up to around $427. So Bitcoin Cash has really been moving. And you can see here, we had a beautiful trend line break. And once we had that trend line break, I talked to you all about trend lines a ton and looking for those trend line breaks. This is a beautiful example. Say you bought right here when we closed. That would have been a confirmed close, 5% up above our trend line right there. Take a look at the price gain that you already could have been sitting at. We went all the way up 84% out of that trend line break. It's powerful, guys. You really need to learn this stuff in the short term and in the longer term time frames. But what Bitcoin Cash needs to do here, we need to set this higher low where we're at now. Same deal. A lot of buyers stepping in right there. You can see those wicks. We need more increased volume, so that's something that I'm looking for as the day continues on there. We need to come back up here and challenge $505 and then turn that into support, because you can see how we kind of double topped before we made it up to this area last time, up to around that $500. We had 6 months of downtrend, and now we've had about 2.5 months or so of uptrend, and we tested it again. In my opinion, we need to come back, set a higher low, power back up with enough room on this RSI with us being at 55, and then make that next strong move to the upside. And if we get up above 55, then I'm going to look at about $644 for Bitcoin Cash would be the next overhead resistance area. But Bitcoin Cash is looking pretty good here. It got its golden cross. The 50 crossed over the 200, so that's nice. And we are up above our 40 moving average as well. And then I want to check our 20 for us. Our 20, we right now are trying to close back up above. We're going to have to watch that for the day and see what happens. But there's a lot of fight right in here, and you can see almost that doji candle. A lot of wick there. Some people would call it a hammer candle, just a tiny little body up there, but that's a strong candle showing that the buyers were stepping in. So that's something that you want to take a look at and pay attention to as well. So the next one we're going to move on to is Ethereum. I know some people have been asking about Ethereum and what's happening with it, so I want to take a look for y'all. Right now it's at $284. So let's get this out of the way. All right, so we do have a golden cross that's confirmed right here for Ethereum, so that's a good sign, guys. A lot of the times when you get those golden crosses, just like back in here, you can get a nice little push to the upside there. So always pay attention to that in terms of the moving average crosses. The golden cross and the death cross, they're ones you want to pay attention to. Next, what I'm looking at here is for Ethereum to continue this move here. I do believe this is probably going to be its higher low, and we're going to see if we can get up above that $286. If we break up above that, we're going to look up around $331, and we could get there in a hurry. That's just how Ethereum moves. It's just one of those things. If it breaks through a resistance and it does it on some volume, it can really run fast, because if we get through this 331, we drop so hard and so fast over here, we may start looking up to 488. And then, $819. It could happen really fast in this space, just like over here. Take a look at this. When these moves come in, we had our golden cross back in here. I mean, this is a straight up move. Obviously, it took some time. These are daily candles, but that's a big, strong move out of there. And then once we got our death cross right here, we just really got pushed to the downside. We went as low for Ethereum as about $80, and we were all the way up around $1,500, and this is all on the log scale here. But what you can kind of see is now if we draw trend lines on this, which I like to do, and just step back. So here's our overall uptrend that we want to obey and stay up above. We don't want to start dropping back down below that again. And then what you can almost look like is we're in a symmetrical triangle here in a way. So if we take our top here, we move it just like that. So we have our higher lows, we have our lower highs, and we'd see if we break out of that. And if we break out of that, that could be enough to really propel us hard and fast. Now, in terms of Ethereum, on the one-day chart here, we are up at 75 on our RSI. So that is definitely something you do want to pay attention to. Can we get more overextended? Absolutely. But at some point, maybe it's when we test $331, we're going to need to calm down or cool down a little bit, or at least move sideways, consolidate, let the market breathe. So I would also look at this as well in terms of a trend line. Just like that, we look for some touches. So roughly about right in that range right there. We want to see if we can continue to work up this. Once we break to the downside, most likely that's when we're going to get our little cool off or our little sell off, because the market does need to breathe. That's the thing. This has been a lot of upside action here without a ton of a retracement. So, you know, guys, that's what you're always trying to look at, is just pay attention to the market, the structure of the market, the trends in the market, and also these chart patterns, because chart patterns, when we do actually get breaks out of them in the cryptocurrency space, they can be extremely aggressive. So, you know, over time, we could even bounce back and forth here for a while. But as of right now, it just seems like the move is up. We just may need to take a little bit of a breather for Ethereum. But the next target to the upside would be that $31. To the downside, I would want us to most likely hold around that 241 where we had some wicking down to right in here. So let's really watch this, guys. You get some from this, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Wanted to cover these three for you, and let me know if you do like me covering a few more coins from time to time like that, or you just like me sticking to the XRP, Bitcoin, Litecoin, that type of stuff, and some tutorials. So leave it down low. Appreciate y'all. God bless.